Hi, I'm Kina, StemBox CEO and founder, here to talk to you today about DNA. So since we're going to be talking about DNA today, I'm sure you're wondering what that is. DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid, DNA. DNA is the genetic material that every reproducing organism needs to continue its survival of its species. DNA has three main jobs: replication, survival, and creation. Replication is referring to the fact that your DNA will copy itself and be passed on to your offspring. The survival part is how your DNA mutates over hundreds and hundreds of generations to get a good evolutionary trait that makes it advantage to surviving in a particular climate. And creation is important because DNA is the blueprint for what your cells decide to make and what kind of proteins or how tall or short, brown hair, blue eyes, all these different things that make you you are from your DNA. So where exactly do we find DNA? Well, first you need to know that your entire body, from your hair to your lungs to your eyeballs, are all made of cells. And cells are like these little factories that keep you alive. Instead of having one really big cell to make you a really big person, you have more cells, so you'll have billions and billions of cells the bigger you are. However, there are some single-celled organisms that survive just being one cell. So if you go inside of a cell and you look around, you'll find a thing called a nucleus. And a nucleus is kind of like the computer/brain of said cell. If you go inside of the nucleus, you can find chromosomes, which look like little X shapes. And chromosomes are actually really long strands of DNA tightly wound around little proteins called histones that keep everything nice and compact. And if you were to unravel all that DNA, you would find long strands that have codes in them that tell your cells what to make exactly. So what exactly is DNA made of? Well, DNA has two phosphate sugar backbones that are connected by nitrogenous base pairs. So if you were to look at DNA that wasn't wound up correctly, you would see a ladder. It has two sides and steps going up. If you twist the top and the bottom, what you'll end up with is a double helix. And that's a really important structure for how DNA is coded, how it's copied, and how it's replicated. Base pairs are the most important part of DNA. There are four base pairs: adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine. Adenine and thymine will always match up. Guanine and cytosine will always match up. If you look down the side of a ladder, you'll see one half of the pair. And if you go through, you can sequence that. So you might get a sequence that looks like TAGCCTAG. And that code might make something in your body that produces maybe brown hair or blue eyes. Why do we even care about DNA? Well, DNA is used for a lot of reasons. Obviously, there are medicinal purposes for DNA. We're starting to enter into an age of medicine where personalized medication is really important for people who have rare diseases. People who have diseases like cancer can really benefit from knowing what their genetic material consists of, or that of their cancer, and have personalized medicine that combats that very specific type of cancer. We even manipulate DNA to make different kinds of vaccinations that keep us safe every year from different types of flus and viruses. Agriculturally, we modify all of our food, pretty much all of it. That's why you hear so much about GMOs, which means genetically modified organisms. We've been genetically modifying our food since hundreds and hundreds of years ago, when we were selectively breeding different crops to give us a tastier crop, a bigger crop, or something that just grows better in a way that it didn't used to. We also use DNA to select and breed different kinds of animals and livestock. You can selectively breed different kinds of horses to get one that might be brown and big and fast, or you can breed foxes like they did in Russia to get a friendlier fox that you can even have as a pet one day. And obviously, all these different breeds of dogs that we have come from different DNA that we've selectively introduced to populations. And that just means picking maybe a Chihuahua that breeds with a Terrier to make a cute, tiny, purse-sized dog that's really fun. The first instance of DNA being recognized happened in 1869 by a man named Frederick Miescher. Frederick Miescher worked in a hospital, and he used to take the icky bandages off patients, and he started to notice there was some goop in it. And going forward, we all realize now that that goop was DNA. Fast forward a couple years to 1952, where we meet Rosalind Franklin. Rosalind Franklin was a scientist who worked with X-ray diffraction to image the first image of DNA, which we refer to as Photo 51. Piggybacking on her success, we meet James Watson and Francis Crick, two scientists who worked at Cambridge to develop the first real-life model of DNA, even though they are essentially credited with discovering the DNA double helix, and they won a Nobel Prize for it. It's really important that moving forward, we as scientists really recognize Rosalind Franklin's contribution to this discovery as well. Overall, her work is understated and not recognized by the public in science as it should be. So now we're going to talk about fun DNA facts. If you unwound all of the DNA in your chromosomes and in all of the cells in your whole body, it would reach from you to the moon 6,000 times. That's crazy. Another really creepy fact about DNA is that not all of your DNA is human. In fact, part of your DNA comes from a virus that infected your ancestor, and then your ancestor passed it down to your family and then to you. So you're actually part virus. And one of the most important things to remember when you're thinking about how humans are different or similar is that all human DNA, from you to your neighbor to the guy who lives in Bolivia, is 99.9% the same. The only thing that makes us different as humans is that 0.1%. So next time you're worried about how you might be different from someone else somewhere in the world, don't worry too much about it. You're only 0.1% different, and that's really awesome. If you're wondering who our closest relative is in the tree of life, it's actually chimps. So all of that evolutionary talk that you hear about is true. We can now prove it with DNA that is matched between chimps and humans. It has been so great to teach you all about DNA and share a little bit about myself. I hope you guys had a good time watching this episode of StemBox, and if you have any more questions about DNA, you can check out our website, www.mystembox.com. I can't wait to see you guys next time!